This is Drew Woodruff, and this is my presentation on how to read music. A famous lyric from Stevie Wonder, a famous musician, singer, and producer's song, Sir Duke reads, "Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand." This quote is very meaningful to many people, but can be interpreted in a different way. Although people come together through music, and we all understand music, music itself has its own language in a form of notes, rest, and many other factors, which is virtually unlearned by roughly 89% of people in the world. According to an article from John Henshin, an author with the Intellectual Takeout, published in August of 2018. Music is one of my many passions. I started playing trumpet when I was in the 6th grade, and I loved it ever since. I was first chair throughout middle school and continued to play into high school for 2 years. Although I do not play anymore, my knowledge and understanding of the musical language is very high. In this presentation on learning to read a basic line of music, we will cover 4 main areas. Firstly, we will discuss our end goal of this presentation. Secondly, we will discuss the prerequisite items needed in order to read a line of music. Thirdly, we will go through the structure and steps in order to read a line of music. We will look at an example line of music to practice with, and finally, we will discuss the certain things to avoid when learning and practicing reading music. The end goal of this presentation is that you will have the basic understanding of how music is structured and read, and hopefully you will gain the basic skills and tactics to read music efficiently and correctly. In order to read music, you must start with 2 basic items. You will first need a piece of music. As shown here on the left, we have a piece called Fuzzy Wuzzy. Secondly, you will need a place to put the music. This can be on a desk, table, or even in your hand, but I would strongly recommend that you get a music stand as depicted here on the right. We first must understand that music is read from left to right and top to bottom. For example, we have a song here called Somebody to Love by the British rock band Queen. We would start here at the left, and then we would move to the right, and then go down, and then move to the right, and then go down, and then move to the right. To read a line of music, we first must understand the parts and order a line of music is structured. Starting here on the left, we have the clef, then the key signature, then the time signature, then the notes, measures, and bar lines. Finally, we will end with the final bar line here at the end. There are 2 types of clefs in music, the treble clef and the bass clef. Each clef determines the pitch and notes on each line of music. At the top we have the treble clef, and the bottom we have the bass clef. The treble clef is going to be for your higher pitch instruments, and the bass clef is going to be for your lower pitch instruments. The key signature tells the musician that certain notes should be played at a slightly higher or lower pitch. On the left we have a key signature with 2 B-shaped items. These are called flats. These will tell the musician to play these certain notes at a slightly lower pitch. On the right, we have a key signature with 4 hashtag or pound symbols. These are called sharps. These are the exact opposite of the flats, as these tell the musician to play the music at a slightly higher pitch. Each piece of music will have a key signature, but some will have nothing in it, and that tells the musician that all notes will be played at their normal pitch. Time signature has 2 numbers. The top number tells the musician how many beats are in each measure. The bottom number tells the musician what note value is getting the beat. For example, the 4/4 here at the bottom gets 4 beats per measure, and the quarter note gets the beat. A 6/8 time signature would have 6 beats per measure, and then the 8th note would be getting the beat. Measures and bar lines break the music into individual sections, but the music does not stop in between. For example, we have 4 measures here at the bottom, broken up each by a bar line. But if there was music in each of these measures, there would be no breakage in between. Within each measure of music, there can be notes or rest. In the 3 examples here at the bottom, we have 3 lines of music. We can see on the top row that there are only notes in each measure of music. Then on the bottom 2, we see that there are notes and rests in each measure of music. Notes are the most important part of music, and they label what pitch to play and for how long. On the left, we see the amount of time each note value is worth. Starting at the top, we see that the whole note gets 4 beats, and then it works down. On the right, we see which letter corresponds to each pitch. For this example, we will be using the treble clef. Each line has its own note, and each space has its own note. My music teacher, Mr. Derek Peters, always taught me the mnemonic, "Every good boy deserves fries," for the notes on the lines, and then he taught space, face for the lines and the spaces. Rests are the second most important part of music, and they tell the person not to play for a certain amount of time. Each rest corresponds to the note with the same name. So a whole rest would get 4 beats where there is no playing, whereas a half rest would get 2 beats where there is no playing, quarter rest 1. One trick my teacher always taught me is that a whole rest looks like there was a hole in the ground, and that the half rest looks like a hat. The final bar line is the thick black line at the end of all music. It tells all instruments to stop playing and that the song is over. Let's look at an example. This song is called Hot Cross Buns. We see on the left that this song uses the treble clef. We see that there's nothing in the key signature, and we see that the time signature is 4/4. The first note would be a D that gets one beat, the second note would be an A that gets one beat, and then the third note would be a G that gets two beats. We would repeat this process for all measures until we get to the final bar line. An article from the Music Universe from November of 2021, written by Buddy Iham, an author and former drummer, tells musicians to avoid assuming the clef, key signature, and time signature, to learn to read music before you start trying to play any songs, and finally ask questions if you need any help. Now that this presentation is over, you should have the basic knowledge of what our goal is when reading music, the prerequisite items needed in order to read a line of music, the steps and procedures in order to read a line of music, and finally things to avoid when learning to read a line of music. Here are my sources.